Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Thursday night. I'm Shiv Aroor. The story that we are tracking tonight on the show has everything to do with Rahul Gandhi opening fire once again on the vote chori campaign, which is his flagship issue at this point of time. He's held a big press conference. I'm going to tell you what he said, but I'm going to ask another question. Is it resonating with voters who are about to vote in Bihar, as well as the larger voting public that will be voting in the big elections coming up in 2026? That's story number one. And story number two is the free world lectures the rest of the world on freedom of expression. But Trump's America has just cancelled its latest talk show host, Jimmy Kimmel, and many more could be on the chopping block. What is that about? We will be decoding that. Leader of the opposition and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi fired the next set of missiles as part of his flagship vote chori campaign. This was a press conference that was positioned as a hydrogen bomb, but that hydrogen bomb seems to have been postponed by a few weeks or months. But today was a weapon, nevertheless, in the hands of Rahul Gandhi. Will this charge ring with voters is the question we're asking today, because both at 9 p.m. with Padmaja and then at 10 p.m. with Vishnu right here on NDTV, we will be going into the nuts and bolts of the allegations made by Rahul Gandhi. But over the last few weeks, as you know, Rahul Gandhi has been firing document after document to suggest that the entire electoral process is rigged and vote chori or vote theft is taking place in the country. We have debunked many of those claims, but tonight on India Matters, the question is not about the veracity of the allegations or the data, about whether vote chori as a proposition is resonating and echoing with the voting public in India. Additions and deletions have been made as part of a charge by Rahul Gandhi. This is a showdown that is escalating now. The Election Commission has hit back at Rahul Gandhi, as it was expected to do, called his charges baseless. Rahul Gandhi has alleged fraud, and the BJP has hit back. It's a familiar flashpoint over one of the biggest allegations and one that Rahul Gandhi has made his flagship issue this election season, vote chori. It's a direct attack also on the election commissioner, where his resignation is being demanded by the entire Congress-supported ecosystem. Take a look.
पहले प्रेजेंटेशन में मैंने एडिशन दिखाया था, अब हमने डिलीशन दिखाया है।
आए तो धमाका करने थे, लेकिन ड्रामा करके चले गए।
देश के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की रक्षा कर रहा हूं, संविधान की रक्षा कर रहा हूं।
The showdown over alleged vote theft. Rahul Gandhi upping the charge with the second tranche of his vote chori campaign. This time alleging mass-scale additions and deletions from the voters' list through what he calls fraudulent means. The leader of the opposition gave examples of two constituencies, Aland in Karnataka and Rajura in Maharashtra, alleging that 6,000 votes were sought to be deleted in Aland and 6,000 were attempted to be added in Rajura fraudulently.
So a software is picking up the first name in the booth and using it to delete voters. So someone ran an automated program that ensured the first voter of the booth was the applicant. That same person got cell phones from outside the state, used them to file the applications. And we're pretty certain that this was done in a centralized manner and it was done at scale. This was not done in a, at a worker level. This was done at a call center level. That's our candidate.
He also brought some people to his interaction and said their numbers were used to delete voter IDs. The Election Commission has hit back at Rahul Gandhi, calling the charges baseless and false. The poll panel maintained that no online deletions are possible and voters can't be deleted without hearing the concerned persons. The BJP came out all guns blazing at the leader of the opposition, with Home Minister Amit Shah leading the charge. The ruling party also said that Rahul only does drama and no real dhamaka.
आज की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में हाइड्रोजन बम फोड़ने वाले थे, फुलझड़ी से काम चलाना पड़ा, वो भी फुस हो गई। ये आए तो धमाका करने थे लेकिन ड्रामा करके चले गए।
Rahul Gandhi also scaled his attack on CEC Gyanesh Kumar, giving him a week's ultimatum to act.
The Chief Election Commissioner of India, Gyanesh Kumar, needs to stop protecting the people who are destroying Indian democracy. We have given you 100% bulletproof proof here. It cannot be doubted. You have seen it with your own eyes. Right? EC has to release this data of these phones, these OTPs, within a week.
Though the leader of the opposition didn't reveal his hydrogen bomb as he had promised, which he said is still in the making.
H-bomb is coming.
An NDTV Bureau report.
So vote chori is now Rahul Gandhi's pet project. He is serious about it. He's leader of the opposition. This is his third big press conference on the vote chori issue after a motorcycle crusade through Bihar as well, which goes into the elections. But just as a recap, let's look at some of the past issues that Rahul Gandhi has made his pet projects or anthem issues and whether they've been successful, because that's the question we're asking. Will vote chori resonate with voters? Number one, Constitution in danger, Constitution khatre mein hai, reservation hatega, etc. was the pitch in the 2023-24 campaign. It paid dividends in some ways because a lot of fake news and misinformation actually took root, and it helped the Congress make a tally of about 99 seats in the 2024 election. The BJP tally dropped to 240. Then there was the farm laws. Even though this was not Rahul Gandhi's own issue, he tried to make it his own. He supported the farmers' agitation. He tried to make it a flagship issue that he had advocated against the farm laws. The government was forced to repeal the three laws, even though it wasn't really about Rahul Gandhi, but he did sort of take credit for that. Then the caste census push, campaigned for a national caste count. The government announced caste count. Rahul took credit for that, and justifiably so. Then there have been a number of misses as well, because Rahul Gandhi has embraced certain issues which have completely backfired and paid no dividends whatsoever. The Rafale deal is perhaps the most memorable example. Chaukidar Chor Hai was the big campaign cry in the 2019 election campaign. Completely failed to work as a poll issue. The Supreme Court even gave a clean chit on the Rafale issue, and you saw what happened in that particular campaign and in that particular election. Chaukidar Chor Hai campaign was related to Rafale and then about the Ambanis as well. Targeted the Prime Minister over that deal. Zero resonance in the elections. Then there was Rahul Gandhi's campaign against electronic voting machines, even though it's sort of related to what's happening now. He's shifted goalposts to vote rigging because the EVM campaign has completely failed. He alleged rigging via EVMs. Zero resonance among voters. The Congress came up with an electoral mixed bag and therefore could not sustain the finger pointing as far as EVMs are concerned. And now Rahul Gandhi has picked up vote chori as his new flavor of the election season. The question today is not about the accuracy or inaccuracy of the allegations or the data or the granularity. Here on NDTV, we will be getting into those at 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. here on prime time. But tonight we're asking a larger political question. Given Rahul Gandhi's mixed bag of hits and misses in the past, will vote chori be a big smoking gun? Will it resonate with voters? Let's go straight across to our analysts and experts tonight, because this is not a political debate that we're doing. We really want to know what those who live and breathe politics think about the vote chori issue in terms of whether it is going to echo in the public mind, whether it is going to resonate in the public mind, whether it's going to energize and enthuse those who are going to vote in Bihar and those who are going to vote in the big elections coming up next year. Tehseen Poonawalla is a political analyst, Rajat Sethi as well. Rohan Gupta belongs to the BJP and Sanjay Jha, formerly of the Congress, also speaks against the BJP in this respect. Rajat, I'm going to come to you first. This is a larger subjective question we're asking because there is no empirical data. The empirical data will come when an election happens. And the first election that happens is upon us very soon in the form of Bihar. Some psephologists, some pollsters have done certain mood studies like they did in 2019 for the Rafale campaign as well. Some suggest it's a bit of a mixed bag. What is your sense? You've been on the ground, you've spoken to voters, you look at numbers very closely. What is your sense on the vote chori issue? Will it resonate?
So Shiv, while I'm not going to get into the veracity of these claims,
yeah, we're not getting
you
into
look
that
at
today.
it from a campaign. Yeah, so we are looking at it only from a campaign point of view. See, Congress party wanted to rejuvenate its cadres, and you require a hook around which you can hold the campaign around. And I believe Rahul Gandhi, he can bring about the roti kapda makan issues, but there are limitations because you have been in the power. Even Tejasvi has been in power for almost a year and a half. So clinging on to the roti kapda makan issues will only go so far in generating credence and credibility. Question is around credibility or the lack of it. What would Rahul Gandhi would try and choose as its main poll plank? And what Rahul Gandhi has chosen is something which might, rejuvenate not just his cadre, but create enough doubt in the swing voters to swing its way. Now, the challenge with Rahul Gandhi is that how does he create even one data point which is beyond reasonable doubt? In order to win public sentiment towards you, you need to create one case, bring one polling booth or one village where you can categorically, without any institutional support of election commission, Supreme Court, or anything of that sort, where you can just justifiably through data prove that yes, vote chori has happened, and this is the modus operandi of vote chori. Unfortunately, so far, that hasn't happened. Otherwise, neutral people also would have been hitting the street. That hasn't happened. So while you will see people on the ground rallying in the motorbikes and all of that, but it doesn't translate into vote beyond your base, which is already there. So while this issue and a good slogan that whatever he's using, that vote chor gaddi chor, it might resonate and energize his base. But would it add value beyond that? I have serious doubts about it.
Tehseen, what do you think? One thing is energizing your cadres, and Rahul Gandhi has demonstrated that to quite an impressive degree with his vote Adhikar Yatra in Bihar as well. The crowds are coming. The cadres are happy. They're energized. They're out there. They seem to be galvanized as well. Rajat says he's not so sure about whether it will resonate with the voting public. Tehseen?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shiv, for having me on the show. There are two aspects to this. Number one, the Congress cadre in Bihar and overall the Congress cadre needed some sort of a motivation to come back on, particularly after the defeat in Haryana, which was unexpected, Maharashtra, which was unexpected. Remember, after 2024, the Congress was supposed to sweep both of these states. Now, we go back to 2024, you see the Bharat Jodo Yatra prior to that, where the Congress was down and out. Most in media thought Prime Minister Modi sweeping this at 400 plus seats. But Bharat Jodo Yatra did rejuvenate the Congress, changed Mr. Gandhi's image, and the Congress had a great performance. Of course, there were other factors involved as well. So now what the Congress has figured out is it needs its cadres on the ground. So to that extent, yes, the vote chori allegations and the yatra helps. It also helps Mr. Gandhi that the election commission and the election commissioner is being confrontational with the leader of opposition, not really answering questions, but a referee is expected to assuage feelings. Here he is getting to the ring and taking on the leader of opposition. That helps him create a perception that the EC is helping the ruling party or the government at hand. Will this alone translate to a victory? No, it won't. And I've told this to the Congress. What the Congress needs to do now is go from vote chori to Adhikar Yatra. And that's what they're doing in Bihar. You see, in Bihar, I was in Bihar for about 4 or 5 days in the interiors, in the Himachal region. What I realized is what a lot of people are scared about is not that they may not be able to vote. that they lose all the benefits that they are getting because of being citizens of India. Now, when you're saying कि Bihar Adhikar Yatra, हम आपको अधिकार दिलाएंगे, and then you see the election commission, which you hold in high esteem, taking on the leader of opposition, not really answering, and with no malice, the BJP coming in there and answering for the EC, it creates a perception of I may lose my rights. So that is so far the base. Can they take it forward? That is the challenge for the Congress.
Rohan, is the BJP nervous about the vote chori campaign and the threats of this hydrogen bomb? Your party has debunked and fact-checked Rahul Gandhi at every step, including today. But what are your internal studies saying? What are your internal surveys saying? Is there any resonance, any echo on the ground?
See, Shiv, I think these so-called hydrogen, nitrogen bombs, they are going to be mood of self-destruction as far as Congress party is concerned. Because at the end of the day, Rahul Gandhi is leader of opposition. And I think that post is losing the credibility now because of these baseless claims. See, you have to see what Rahul Gandhi's last press conference said and what is the outcome on the ground. I will give 3 examples. Maybe it will take 10-20 seconds. He gave example of Shakur Rani that she voted twice. After that, Shakur Rani filed affidavit with her husband that I have not voted for twice. He gave example of somebody having 0 address. Then Election Commission clarified that people who live temporarily, obviously there is a provision of giving 0 address. After that, he gave an example where 80 voters were registered, some Rani Bagh or something. It came out that there were tenants and they were shifting the place, and because of the migration, they continued voting. So if the claims which you have made last time, whatever bomb, I don't know the name of bomb, if all the claims which were made then, if on verification they are not proved right, what kind of credibility you are talking? Vote chori maybe as a word, it will look a good campaign. But whom it is touching? My friend gave example of Bihar. In Bihar, after SIR, 7 crore 24 lakh voters got their name in the electoral roll. And another 65 lakh people who were not part of the electoral, the list was given to Congress party and their agents. Till now, they have not able to file a single complaint against that. To whom this campaign is touching? The people whose names are already there in voter list, 7 crore 24 lakhs, they are happy. The people who are 65 lakhs, the Congress party is not able to take a single name. So where this campaign is going? It is just a rhetoric, just without the base. This is not going to garner votes. And I completely agree with Rajat. It might sound that, okay, their cadre is energized. But what? It is like Chaukidar Chor hai. It is like Hindenburg. These are the campaigns which looks good
there is also...
but on ground...
Sanjay, I'm coming to you in just a moment. But the Tehseen put up his hand, so a quick rebuttal from him before I go to Sanjay. But I also want to make an important point here that, Rahul Gandhi is looking for a knockout blow with all these documents that he's putting out. He is hoping not for a smoking gun, but a knockout blow that completely mesmerizes the public into believing that they've been taken for a ride as far as the electoral process is concerned. And therefore, voting for the Congress is going to be the only way out. Because remember, the Congress is not boycotting the election. They're just saying the election has been hijacked. Tehseen, you want to come in also because Tejasvi Yadav, who's been riding on that motorcycle with Rahul Gandhi, is conspicuously not mentioning vote chori at all in all his public meetings and rallies. When he's with Rahul Gandhi, he kind of sheepishly mentions it. When Rahul Gandhi is not there, not a word from Tejasvi Yadav. It seems like his allies don't really buy into whether it has any resonance, Tehseen.
So let me just, one thing my friend Rohan said, because this was not a technical debate, but the Congress and the RJD have filed 70,000 affidavits on those 65 lakhs names that were deleted. A lot of that were filed from areas that they felt affected their core voters. I'm aware of this personally. Secondly, on the 0 address thing, the Election Commission gave its explanation, but has not been able to explain that if addresses are 0, why does no Aadhaar card have 0? Aadhaar is proof of identity and residence, not proof of citizenship. So the Election Commission is not helping itself. But let me not get into a technical debate. This is not a technical debate. I do agree with you. This has to go beyond the vote chori. And to that extent, now Tejasvi has taken this further to Bihar Adhikar Yatra. There we will give you your rights are being taken away. So that has been the shift, the paradigm shift. But the RJD does believe on the ground that they were denied a victory in some areas in the last election.
But then why isn't Tejasvi sort of picking that up in a more enthusiastic way? He's completely avoiding saying it.
Because Rajat is right. And I've told this to the Congress. Just the vote chori will not help it win. Vote chori plus you will lose you will lose your rights and we will give you your rights, including your rights to your welfareism.
Okay.
It has to be a plus.
Sanjay, go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, Shiv, good evening to you and to all my fellow panelists on the program. I'm glad that we are having a very mature debate and really looking at it very strategically. Rahul Gandhi has taken the position, I think it's a brilliant position, to say that he represents India here. He's representing the youth of India. If you look at his entire conversation, and it's been there for a long time, he hasn't been pitching for the Congress or the opposition alone. He's been saying that India's constitutional democracy is under threat. And in the vote chori is very bipartisan. I'll give you one simple example. And at some point, Rohan needs to answer this. There are no permanent winners or losers in politics. The BJP will be in the opposition sooner rather than later. And would they like a Congress or a UPA or a India bloc prime minister appointing favored people in various institutions of India to subvert the democratic health of this country? And I think the answer ought to be no. It doesn't matter which party or which coalition is in government. The citizens must get institutions that are dispassionate, fair, and neutral, because that's the only way you will have a very healthy foundation for a flourishing democracy. I think Rahul on the vote chori, for example, has brought out many points. I don't want to get technical. If Rohan wants to do that, I've got 1,000 points here that I can argue on. But the larger message is that this is the core fundamental right in a country where, you know it, Shiv, you look at the data, such a large number of people in the informal workforce. We still have around 300 million people struggling below the poverty line, 800 million people dependent on cheap food grains. And as Tehseen rightly pointed out, that, end of day for an ordinary individual, I come from Bihar. I'm more privileged to have, studied outside and, worked in Mumbai, etc. But the average person in the state that I come from struggles. If you look at the caste census that Mr. Nitish Kumar's government did, it showed, Shiv, you look at the data, it's so disconcerting. Around only 2% or 2.5% of people in Bihar have passenger cars. Only 3.5% people are postgraduates. And it's hard, right? Because it's a very agrarian economy. There's an absence of industry. So I think in the vote chori, Rahul Gandhi is basically not just talking to the people of Bihar. He's telling people today in his press conference that I heard, he's telling everybody in this country, we need healthy, neutral institutions that are not being bullied by their political masters.
But there is an election coming, and ultimately the question is going to be not a philosophical one. Is it going to be enough to actually win those votes as well? Rohan and Rajat both want to respond to Sanjay. Rohan quickly first and then Rajat. Rohan.
See, my friends Sanjay and Tehseen, both of them, they agreed to one point, that vote chori cannot be the central narrative. And that's why the reason I think they are not part of the Congress, because they won't be hurt. And that's why in Bihar, because I am in Bihar in war room, they have given easy win for BJP. I am telling you today. They have gifted BJP and NDA easy win, making vote chori a central campaign because it is not resonating with the people. And my friend Sanjay also has to talk about everything except vote chori, because he also knows there is no merits in the case. If there are merits, if there is a bit of substance, why Rahul Gandhi ji is not saying that he will take legal action? Why no legal action then? Why is afraid of taking legal action? If there is an iota of truth in whatever he's saying, why is he afraid of taking legal action? It will become a national issue. Everybody will support. See, finding out anomalies in voter list doesn't prove that that's a vote chori. That is precisely what...
Let Rajat come in and then I'll get Sanjay to respond to both. Rajat.
So Shiv, very quickly, see, in any election campaign, and we are not going on to the merit of this issue right at the outset, I've said that.
We're not.
See, in any election issue, you have to be very careful that you have to be a David in that campaign. You cannot be seen as a Goliath. But in this framing, that for 7 years in a pitch perfect manner, it's only now that things have gone awry. That doesn't cut ice. And this is my fundamental problem, that you have been a princeling. For 70 years, your party and your family has ruled this country, and you've seen how election commission and election commissioners, EC after EC were compromised. You had, likes of Naveen Chawla and so many others who were compromised to the hilt. you cannot suddenly come out and adopt the role of being a David in this battle. You want to do it. We can all see through it that you are trying to do that. See that there are
No, it's
bigger
actually
powers who are controlling it. I can't do. I'm such a poor person on the ground, struggling with all of you for every voting right.
I
That
hear
doesn't cut ice with Rahul
Rajat,
Gandhi.
I hear your point. Tehseen, you want to come in, you've raised your hand because this is actually a familiar
Yeah.
situation. In 2019, the entire Chaukidar Chor Hai campaign was kind of roundly rejected because Rahul Gandhi wasn't really in a position to be an anti-corruption mascot. And Rajat seems to suggest the same. He says, after being in power for so long through your family, you can't project yourself as a messiah to repair the electoral system that you've enjoyed for decades.
Again, I'd like to divide the two respectfully. Allegations of corruption don't stick on the prime minister. It's like on the prime minister. It's like water on a duck's back. It won't stick. That is wrong. In this particular case, there is a difference. He's not attacking
No,
the
but
prime
he's
minister.
pegging this also on the Prime Minister, Tehseen. He names him repeatedly.
Which may be fine, but he's saying there's an institutional lacuna which the BJP is helping him. For example, when a member of parliament, Anurag Thakur, comes out and says, oh, you've identified one assembly or 6 assemblies where things have gone wrong. We've identified 6 Lok Sabha constituencies where things have gone wrong. The common man says, hey, you're in government, fix it. Now, the argument that Rajat makes is that Mr. Gandhi's family's been in power. All right. And therefore, they are out of power for the last 11 years for you to fix the system. The two negatives don't make a positive. You can't blame this now, Mr. Gandhi, that because your grandfather or grandmother or your father's been in government, you will not fix the system. Now we'll allow the system. So I think, and then again, it's not about vote chori. It's about losing the welfare that they're getting is what's scaring the people of Bihar. They think they lose their welfareism. They're not going to think Indira Gandhi ne vote chori ki. That's not, it doesn't work like that.
Sanjay, 30 seconds left. You can have the last word. Sanjay, go ahead. Will this resonate with voters? The rightness, wrongness, etc. will only be tested in an election result.
Let me tell you, Shiv, it already is an extraordinary success. I'll agree that not one issue is never enough, but it has got a massive head start for the India Alliance. 2 quick points. Credibility. Why is the Election Commission issue really caught the public imagination beyond Bihar? Because everybody's seen the way ED has been abused. Look at what the Supreme Court had to say about the ED. Why are you taking political positions? Why are you behaving like a crook? That's the language of the Supreme Court on the ED. And the people have seen this whole washing machine, Operation Lotus, hijacking of MLAs. It's damaged the BJP's perception across the board. Number 2, I think this is crucial because when you said that why is Tejasvi not doing enough, he is doing quite a bit even on vote chori. But this is what the India Alliance has got right in Bihar. Corruption is a big issue. 15 bridges collapsing in a month is a big issue. Unemployment is a massive challenge. Law and order in Patna, where I have been there for a few years in my early years, is in shambles. So Bihar, I think, is being fought in a very interesting way by the India Alliance. And Tejasvi is definitely the chief ministerial candidate.
As I always say, we can analyze these things till kingdom come, but ultimately the barometer, the real test will be in the elections themselves. We won't have to wait very long. Rohan, apologies, we're completely out of time. But I suspect that, with whatever bomb is coming next, the hydrogen bomb was supposed to come today, but it didn't. We'll have to wait for that. But we'll be debating this quite a bit more. Thanks very much, Tehseen, Rajat, Sanjay, and Rohan for being with me on discussion number 1 here on India Matters. The land of the free, the self-appointed pulpit of liberty, the country that files reports every year admonishing others, including us, for muzzling dissent and crushing protests, has just yanked one of its most popular late-night talk show hosts off the air. Jimmy Kimmel, known for baiting Trump each night, was pulled hours after he went after the MAGA crowd in the wake of influencer activist Charlie Kirk's killing. That's right, Jimmy Kimmel, one of the most popular television stars in the US, has been pulled off the air. The US networks want us to believe it's about ratings and performance and popularity, but the timing speaks louder than any performance sheet. Jimmy Kimmel isn't unusual television fare in American culture. Late-night hosts have always roasted presidents. They always will. Yet, Jimmy Kimmel is the second wicket to fall after Stephen Colbert got his final countdown earlier this year. His show ends next year. And Trump wasted no time in using Jimmy Kimmel's cancellation to attack two other American late-night hosts, both very popular, Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. What's fascinating is that Donald Trump, who once sat through an absolutely brutal Comedy Central roast in 2011, you can go and see it on YouTube, you wouldn't believe it, laughing while celebrities tore him apart in the most brutal manner, is suddenly all thin-skinned as a politician. What's changed is not Trump's sense of humor, which I can assure you is intact. It's the appetite of his ravenous MAGA base. There's no space for dissent in today's America. No oxygen for it either. Hundreds who mocked Charlie Kirk's death, tasteless and absolutely unforgivable as it certainly was, have been hounded until their employers fired them. The irony is that Charlie Kirk himself believed in engaging with opponents who virulently disagreed with him, not cancelling them, to his last day literally. That's today's America, a country that still sermonizes the world on freedom of thought, but has made it state policy that anyone who disagrees with the man in the White House must lose their jobs and feel real pain. That is not freedom, that is the hypocrisy of America's so-called free speech.
American comedian Jimmy Kimmel has become the latest victim of cancel culture. Why? Because he accused MAGA of capitalizing on the assassination of right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk. The ABC network has now suspended Kimmel's late-night show. President Donald Trump quickly applauded the move, calling it great news for America and praised ABC for showing courage.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The backlash was swift. Kimmel's monologue criticizing Republican reaction sparked outrage across Trump's base. Just hours later, ABC, owned by Disney, pulled the plug, following threats from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr to take action against the network. Trump has long pushed broadcasters to silence voices critical of him. His influence is now being felt yet again. Just weeks ago, CBS cancelled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, officially citing financial reasons. Yet many see this as a move to curry favor with the White House. It seems Charlie Kirk wasn't a fan of Kimmel either, as old comments from 2017 surfaced, where the right-wing influencer said, "Jimmy Kimmel isn't funny." No one is safe in the US, with Trump also going after Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, calling them total losers and suggesting their shows be cancelled. Now, many are asking, is this the end of late-night satire in America? Disha Bagchi for NDTV.
And Trump's war on freedom of speech, the media, television hosts, the Jimmy Kimmels of the world is hardly new, and it's very much part of Trump's world and is Trump's brand of politics. In 2025, this year, Jimmy Kimmel is only the latest. His show is off the air over comments on Charlie Kirk. Trump celebrates, says Kimmel has zero talent. That's what he said on his Truth Social account, and has now slapped a $15 billion suit on New York Times over the reporting by that newspaper on the Epstein case on Trump. He has pushed the Department of Justice to probe journalists over leaks as well. Last year, Trump sued major media houses, including the Wall Street Journal, for defamation. He has praised autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un, who routinely censor the media. He's called for the cancellation of broadcast licenses for what he calls fake news or anything that is not convenient to his narrative. In 2020, he was accused of encouraging violence against protesters and reporters, attempted to ban TikTok over political criticism fears. In 2019, blocked critics on Twitter. Court ruled it unconstitutional while he was president. In 2018, he called journalists enemies of the people. 2016, tried to weaken libel laws to sue media and news outlets easily. So this is a part of the Trump persona that has become very familiar and very appealing, really, to his MAGA base. Listen in to what Trump has just said on precisely what we're talking about.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
All right, joining me live now is Indian comic and writer Radhika Vaz. Adelle Nazarian is a US podcaster and host. Thanks very much, Radhika and Adelle, for being with me on this. It was Stephen Colbert earlier this year. It's Jimmy Kimmel now. Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, are already on target by Trump in his reaction. You've just heard Trump talk about Jimmy Kimmel as well. Radhika, your first impressions of this? We all know Trump, and I know, Radhika, that you've seen the roast of Donald Trump on Comedy Central over a decade ago. It was one of the most brutal roasts, and Trump is known to be someone who has a sense of humor, but as a politician and a president, it seems to be just the opposite, and freedom of speech has taken a big hit. What do you think, Radhika?
I don't think it's so surprising. He wasn't a politician then. He was an entertainer, and entertainers have to sit through roasts and enjoy it because it helps their own ratings. I think he was already on Apprentice, like that was his show, and he needed to prove that he was cool with everybody, and he did it. He did that. And I remember watching the roast, and it was a good roast, and he was pretty sporting. So he doesn't not think Jimmy Kimmel is smart. He doesn't not think these people are intelligent and talented. Yeah. It's just that now he is a president, and he is a president of an extremely becoming more and more right-wing sort of party. And so this is the kind of thing he has to now say. And he's playing the game. He's just playing the game.
It is playing the game, but Adelle, in the United States, late night talk show hosts before Trump, during Trump, after Trump, they have always, as part of their staple, roasted presidents. They've always said controversial, irreverent, satirical, offensive things about presidents and the people who follow them. What's new this time? Something's changed.
So I think this is a little bit of a false equivalency, respectfully. I'd have to say President, then non-candidate, or soon to be presidential candidate, and now President Trump, when he was being roasted, that roast was actually the impetus for him to run for president. And I think you have to see that, if you look at it yourselves, the political correctness that used to not be an issue during the time when Robin Williams was still around, it's become increasingly censored. People are triggered by their emotions getting hurt, but it just so happens to be coming from anyone that is offending the political left, I would say. When it comes to offending the political right, it somehow gets a pass. And I think what's going on is that the age of hypocrisy is over. The difference between this so-called war on freedom of speech is that it's actually not a war on freedom of speech. It's about accountability, not censorship. Freedom of speech means that the government can't put you in jail or silence you for your opinions. And Jimmy Kimmel isn't sitting in a jail cell right now. He has every right to speak his mind, as ugly as it may be, post whatever he wants. What happens, though, in a private corporation, which is how he was airing his thoughts on a private platform, right? That crossed the company's standards. And it was really fresh. And honestly, even if it was, God forbid, Greta Thunberg, no one should ever, who's been assassinated, be treated this way. It's horrible. So I understand it's about accountability, in my opinion.
I just want to say one thing in response to that. Jimmy Kimmel did not make a joke about Kirk.
Go ahead, Radhika.
He didn't make a joke about Kirk. He didn't make an obnoxious joke about Kirk. He made a comment that said that the MAGA voters were trying to position the guy who killed Charlie Kirk as a left-leaning, liberal, far left, whatever, but actually they're just distancing themselves from one of their own. So he was, if anything, making fun of MAGA voters. He wasn't making fun of Charlie Kirk at all. That is incorrect.
And so...
in fact, may I respond to that?
Did that actually make it more difficult to digest for Trump and the White House, Adelle, in your view?
Yeah, probably.
It wasn't about making fun of Trump, but making fun of his base, which is worse.
I don't really think it's about that. I think if anyone actually did the background on this, they would see that the alleged assassin actually came from a Republican conservative family, but he himself was no longer a conservative. He was actually a progressive. And he actually was even living with or in a partnership with a trans gentleman. So in that case, no, this is misinformation being spread and to basically indirectly incite violence against the so-called MAGA base. And I have to say, Trump's base isn't all, it's MAGA, yes, but it's also moderates. It's also people who are Democrats who have crossed over because they no longer find the Democratic Party to be their home ideologically. Yep. And also what Kimmel said was an incitement indirectly. But once again, he's not sitting in a jail cell. He just happened to have to be held accountable for his actions. So it was very poor taste. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
Dating a transgender man or woman does not make you politically anything. That's just your choice of who you wish to be with.
It actually has, believe it or not, it does actually. It does, because there is a clear line between people who, because it has to do with an ideology. I
have so many gay friends who are Republican.
So do I.
It doesn't mean anything.
I have gay friends who are Republicans too. But
so exactly. So a gay man can date a transgender person and still be Republican, can still be far right. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
This guy, I'm not going to call him a gentleman because he's a very, very mentally disturbed person who committed an egregious crime. Whatever it was, he needs God in his life. And honestly, he is not a conservative. I can tell you that. Whatever it was, he was a progressive individual. And late night hosts who are of more liberal persuasion can try all they want to paint this guy as being a MAGA Republican, but he was the furthest thing from that. And he was antithetical to what Charlie Kirk preached, which was to use nonviolence and logic and common sense to make your arguments. And I think that's why there was such a backlash against people getting fired across different employment platforms because of the way that they were joyous.
So you're saying this was about misinformation, it wasn't a freedom of speech issue. But then it brings me back to the point, Adelle, and Radhika, I'll bring this to you. The word intolerance, we use the word intolerance a lot. And this brings me back to where I started this debate, because America routinely lectures the rest of the world when it comes to, tolerating dissent and the right to offend and say things that you disagree about. Charlie Kirk was, in the middle of a crowd that disagreed with him as well. Do you think that's what this is about? A very polarized, sort of bristling, hyper atmosphere where the slightest bit of disagreement means you've got to bring out all your big guns. You've seen Trump react to the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation by going after Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers separately now.
Look, I think what has happened is, sorry if I may.
Radhika.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
No, listen, I'm a comedian. I live in India.
Yeah.
I lived in the US for a long time. I go back there frequently. I think the issue for me is it's this business of accountability. Who's in charge of telling us what we can joke about and what we can't? I stand by the fact that Jimmy did not actually joke about a dead person. He did not in any way mock Charlie Kirk. That is not what happened. He mocked someone else. And that someone else has the power to make a phone call and frighten the life out of the platform that he was on. Now, we can say that the ratings were bad. We can say all kinds of things. And I don't know the whole thing with late night TV anyway is changing because, like Adelle, there are podcasters who are wrapping up the thing that happens at the end of the day. People are self-selecting like micro media that they want to follow. So who knows what's happening with the actual ratings and what's actually happening with late night. That aside, I think the bigger issue is that comedians particularly and artists in general, people who create new things, they don't report on other stuff, right? They take something and then they create something new from it. That's sort of the deal. You can tell them they are wrong. You can disagree with their point of view. Okay. But I think when the president or the government in any country, and it's not just the United States, we live in a country where stuff like this has been happening, when politicians and lawmakers are able to start frightening artists into self-censoring, we're on thin ice culturally, I feel.
Okay.
That's my opinion on a broader picture, not on
15 seconds, Adelle. Last word to you.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you, everyone. I think this really exposes a cultural sickness. Culturally, America is so divided more than ever before.
Yeah.
And to celebrate anyone's murder, honestly, unless it's a Hitler or, a Mussolini or someone who's literally killing people who are innocent, right? It's unjustified.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, Kimmel can say whatever he wants, but he also has to realize there's going to be consequences. And that's where it goes. Freedom of speech is there, but there has to be accountability in return. And I think that's what he received, the accountability end of the stick. Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. Thank you very much, Adele. Thank you very much, Radhika. Pleasure having the both of you here on India Matters. Thank you. Okay, and Deepika Padukone finally will not be acting in the sequel to the hugely successful Prabhas starrer Kalki. Kalki 2 will not have Deepika Padukone. A high-profile exit from the sci-fi drama has been announced by the filmmakers. So she is gone. Commitment issues appear to be the reason for this exit from Kalki 2. The filmmakers saying this requires a level of commitment, indicating that Deepika has not been able to promise that kind of commitment. Is there some tension ahead? We don't know yet because Deepika hasn't spoken out or confirmed. But here's our report.
एक जान के अंदर दूसरी जान.
It was one of the biggest films of 2024, Kalki 2898 AD. A star-studded spectacle featuring Prabhas, Amitabh Bachchan, Kamal Hassan and Deepika Padukone. But as the sequel plans take shape, there's one name missing, Deepika Padukone. The actress has now been dropped from the sequel after her team made certain demands that didn't sit well with the film's producers. In an ex-post, Vijayanti Movies said they have parted ways with the actor as they were unable to find a partnership for a film that deserves that commitment and much more. Sources told NDTV that Deepika's team demanded a 25% hike in her fee and 5-star accommodations for a 25-member crew accompanying her. Producers reportedly felt that the revised terms were too steep and unsustainable, especially after already managing massive budgets for the first film. There's also the matter of Deepika's personal priorities. The actress recently welcomed her first child with Ranveer Singh. In an earlier interview, Deepika said that she now prefers strict 8-hour work days as she balances acting with motherhood. While this is entirely understandable, the makers of Kalki 2898 AD apparently found it difficult to accommodate such scheduling restrictions, especially for a film packed with VFX, action and tight timelines. Sources say the decision to part ways was mutual, with both sides realizing that the fit wasn't ideal for the sequel's scale. Kalki 2898 AD has already become a franchise to watch. But for the sequel, fans may see a new female lead step in. This is the second big film loss for Deepika this year, as she lost Prabhas starrer Spirit over differences with the filmmaker Sandeep Reddy Vanga. As for Deepika, she continues to focus on motherhood and will next be seen in Singham Again and other major projects. With Sejal Gupta, NDTV Bureau Report.